This is a review of Cablan magnetic porcelain tiles, not in any way sponsored or compensated by the company. I just ordered samples like anyone else. My interest in these tiles is that I thought they might be a unique solution for certain types of mobile homes, homes on wheels, trailers, maybe even vans, because they don't require grout or mortar. They are still very heavy, so in my 8 by 12 foot little trailer that I'm building now, these would be about over 500 pounds, and the total weight load that the trailer can take is about 1,700. That's including people and everything in it, although you likely wouldn't have your entire trailer tiled, because usually in a trailer or van you have a bed, and under the bed you usually have storage, so usually half of your, if you have a space that's small, you often have half of it as a sort of storage and bunk bed area. So you would just have to make sure that your trailer could take that weight and that it would be balanced. So if you only had part of it, if you only use this for part, a little kitchen area or a little entrance area or bathroom of a tiny house on wheels, that your weight was balanced enough. But if it can take the weight, this could be an option. I wanted to review it. I was concerned about MCS issues or issues for people with MCS here. And so I ordered 2 samples just because I wanted to see what they look like. This one kind of looks like marble. It's a glossy version. They have a less glossy one because this one seems really slippery. This one has a textured finish, and it's supposed to look like distressed wood, as you can see. And so there's a magnet on the back. You can see how it's glued on. Magnetic backing. And so I thought that would be especially interesting for floors that were already magnetic. So if you already had a type of steel floor that is magnetic, then I thought that would be a very simple solution. All you have to do is stick them down if your floor is already magnetic. Of course, if you have aluminum, like in a camp light with aluminum, that's not going to work. But they do have this backing, which is thin, and it glues down to your subfloor, whatever you have going on as your floor. And I peeled this back and I smelled the glue. I found the glue itself to be very mild for someone with MCS. My MCS is, I would say, moderate, although my sense of smell is very, very high still. So my reactions have gone down, which is why I would say I'm moderate and even sometimes mild with certain substances. Building materials, glues are still a problem for me. I can't sleep anywhere with off-gassing, the smell of off-gassing, glues, and the usual building products in regular houses. So although the glue is quite mild, this material itself, which is sort of a rubberized magnet, has quite a smell of its own, stronger than I thought it would. And when I say things like strong, I'm talking about for people with multiple chemical sensitivities and a heightened sense of smell. So I haven't had a healthy person smell this, or a normal person with a regular sense of smell, whatever you want to call them. So I don't know. I'm assuming it would be mild for them at worst, and almost perhaps not. Some people barely have any sense of smells compared to me. So yes. So this backing also has a stronger smell than I thought. It's probably something I can't tolerate. This exact sample, this one, is a year old. Although of course I'm sure it was stacked up in a way that it wasn't off-gassing. So whether you could off-gas that in the sun, I don't know. I haven't had it in the sun yet. When I tested the cork, In other floorings, I had them off-gassing in the heat. And Marmoleum, I had them off-gassing in the heat for months. So that would be my strategy if you have a hot summer or a hot any time of year. That would be your best strategy for off-gassing. This does smell stronger than the underlayment, than the magnetic underlayment. So this one does smell stronger. I don't know if it's the glue. I would think that the glue would be off-gassed after a year, and also that the glues they use, I mean, it wouldn't be the same glue as the underlayment, but it does seem like they are using really good glues. They are making an attempt to use really safe glues. So, although this one does smell stronger, which makes me think that the glue is probably stronger. And so, although you can't really smell it through the tile, the tiles are not going to be perfectly airtight the way they fit together. And I do feel like it has picked up the way that I had it stacked up when I was storing it. That even I can smell it on the top, although I don't know if that would wash off or if it has sort of absorbed the smell, because obviously this is a porcelain that is, porous. So, although the top, especially this one, is, has a shiny gloss that you may not be able to smell that through. So the way they fit together, I'm on the grass, so it's not going to be precise. So the way they fit together is just by the fact that they have very straight, flat edges. So that's how they fit together. You would have it down, so, they'd be stuck down. It's not a super strong bond, so if you want to see the bond, it's not a super strong bond, so you can pull them up. So they fit together. Imagine we're not on the grass. They fit together like that. They're not 100% waterproof. I would be concerned, as you know, I'm quite concerned about mold and any places where water can get trapped or moisture. I would be concerned about a spill, a major spill, like a whole bottle of water or something like that. That would cause me to pull them up to see what was going on, how much water got underneath. So it would, let's say water got underneath there, it would be very hard for the water to dry out through these tiles. Of course, the tile itself is a bit porous, but usually the top is not the same as the porous interior, and then the bottom obviously is not porous. And then if you did have big sheets of this glued down, you'd have to make sure that the water didn't get under that as well, especially if you had plywood or something under there. But I'm thinking of this more in a trailer where you probably have metal floors. That was sort of my main interest in these. So if you wanted to test them, put them down, you can smell it first, but then when you're testing them, just put them flat down and try sleeping in a small space with that and seeing if any of that's really going to come up from this, from underneath in any kind of way that you can smell it. You may have to be quite sensitive to smell that. You get into a smaller space, you become, everything becomes stronger, and they are expensive tiles, so you wouldn't want to buy the entire trailer's worth only to find out that once you got them all in there, you could smell it and it was too strong. So that's happened to me before when building really small spaces. I don't know their return policy. You'd have to ask them about that. So yes, they are heavy, but they are not as heavy as typical tiling, where you add another layer of mortar and then grout. So that's the benefit. Of course, you can use that in a regular house or stationary tiny house. I just thought this might be something interesting for places that are hard to find non-toxic flooring for. There just aren't that many options for trailers that are totally non-toxic, not off-gassing, and moisture resistant. You can't just put anything down on top of a metal floor or in a high humidity environment if your trailer doesn't have good humidity control. So generally trailers have flooring that generally you don't put wood down, you generally don't put cork down. Even marmoleum, I wonder about the jute on the back in terms of putting that straight down on the floor. Of course, if you have lots of insulation, you wouldn't worry as much about condensation. So there's lots of factors to consider, but I just wanted to review these tiles. They're interesting. I would personally see if it off gases for myself. Like, I wanted to use them in my trailer. But as of now, I probably won't be able to use them. Someone less sensitive than me could definitely give it a try, order a sample. There are many people more sensitive to mold than the chemicals in building materials that may find this really interesting for their tiny homes.